Sometimes, the bravest hearts hide behind the smallest doors. This truth lingered with Jisoo as she juggled the daunting responsibilities of caring for her ill grandmother while scraping by in their modest apartment. Each morning, the sun painted soft golds over the rooftops, offering a hopeful start. Yet for Jisoo, hope often felt like a luxury. Her days passed in silence, filled with chores and hospital visits, where every medical bill loomed larger than the last. Just when she thought she had reached her limit, fate intervened in a most unexpected manner. It was an ordinary Tuesday. The streets hummed with life, and Jisoo was on her way to pick up medicine when she paused at the corner store, her fingers brushing against the generous selection of remedies. But the tranquility shattered abruptly as a masked figure burst into the shop, brandishing a knife. Chaos echoed in the air, screams of terror, shattered glass, the clatter of dropped goods. As others fled, Jisoo felt her heart race, not with fear but with a surge of urgency. Instinctively, she grabbed a nearby can and hurled it at the thief, striking him off balance just long enough for her to mobilize. Driven by an adrenaline-fueled determination, she tackled him, managing to pin his arm as she shouted for help. By the time the police arrived, Jisoo stood, breathless yet victorious, the trembling elder victim at her side. To Jisoo's shock, the woman who had been robbed turned out to be the matriarch of the powerful Han family, an influential figure in the city. Grateful tears in her eyes, the matriarch praised Jisoo's bravery, and in a moment that seemed to defy reality, she offered Jisoo an unexpected reward, her grandson, Seung-jo, who was known for his dark clouds of illness and whispered doubts of infertility. Caught in something beyond her understanding, Jisoo agreed, watching as Seung-jo appeared. His handsome yet reserved demeanor masked a life filled with expectations. Jisoo felt a mix of fear and excitement, unsure if she was stepping into a royal embrace or a gilded cage. As the wedding approached, her confidence wavered under the weight of comparisons to the high society women around her. Meanwhile, Seung-jo questioned his own worth, often haunted by medical restrictions that he feared would define him forever. As they embarked on their promised path together, Jisoo's fiery spirit clashed and eventually kindled a flame within Seung-jo. Slowly, she inspired in him a will to confront his family with renewed resolve. However, shadows lurked within the grand halls of the Han estate. Jin-seok, Seung-jo's ambitious older brother, watched them from the sidelines with simmering resentment, envisioning Jisoo as an obstacle to his dreams of power. Their marriage stirred the family dynamics, leading to whispered quarrels cloaked in elegant undertones, each provocation twisting the threads of their lives tighter. Just as Jisoo began to settle into her new role, life threw a curveball. One morning, she felt a fluttering sensation, a sign of life within her. A flurry of emotions engulfed her as she realized she was pregnant. The news electrified her. Overjoyed, she hurried to share it with Seung-jo. Yet, in this moment of happiness, uncertainty reigned. Their joy quickly unraveled when Jin-seok learned of it. Seeing the unborn child as a threat to his aspirations made him desperate and increasingly vengeful. In a final act of treachery, Jin-seok orchestrated Jisoo's kidnapping, holding her captive to manipulate Seung-jo. As darkness surrounded her, Jisoo clung to hope. A tiny ember fueled by love for her unborn child and the man who'd learned to embrace vulnerability alongside her. At that moment, Seung-jo, aware of what was at stake, chose to take a stand. He gathered evidence and allies against his brother, confronting Jin-seok in a heartbreaking showdown that echoed like thunder through the mansion corridors. The confrontation unveiled layers of betrayal, not only within the family, but also within Seung-jo himself, who had to confront his own fears of inadequacy. With a decisive moment of truth, he reclaimed his power, demonstrating resilience through the chaos. Jisoo, thinking of her grandmother and child, emerged as a beacon of hope even in captivity, reminding herself of the bravery that had once defined her. In the wake of their reunion, the storm of emotions cleared, revealing paths toward healing. Although scars lingered, a bond woven with understanding and love flourished. Jisoo and Seungjo faced their futures hand in hand, ready to embrace their family's legacy with hope and determination. They vowed to cultivate an environment that nurtured not only their child but also each other. The echoes of Jin Seok's treachery faded as they stepped into a new day, united in their commitment to charting a course of authenticity and growth. Their hearts resonated with a simple truth. Together, they were ready to face whatever tomorrow would bring, not just as a hesitant partnership, but as a loving family. The city breathed anew, a vibrant canvas against the horizon, echoing the promise of love reborn amidst the complexities of life. Sometimes, a single brave act can alter the course of a life. Jisoo never could have imagined how true that statement would become. Living in a quaint, bustling neighborhood, she devoted herself to caring for her ailing grandmother, daily grappling with the weight of unpaid bills and unsettling uncertainties in their modest apartment. Her life was a careful balance of chores and hospital visits, a routine that felt as comforting as it was stifling. But all of that was about to change in the most unexpected way. On an ordinary Tuesday, while running errands, her life collided with chaos. The sound of muffled screams broke through the afternoon stillness as a masked man stormed into a nearby corner store, brandishing a knife. Time seemed to slow as fear cascaded around her. People scattered like leaves in the wind. While others froze, something ignited within Jisoo. She couldn't stand by while an innocent person was harmed. Before she fully understood her own bravery, she grabbed a nearby can of beans and flung it at the intruder. The can hit his arm, startling him just long enough for Jisoo to leap into action, wrestling him to the ground with an almost reckless determination. As the thief was apprehended and the store regained its composure, the weight of her actions settled in. She had not only saved the day, but turned the tide of her own life. Wiping the sweat from her brow, Jisoo remained breathless as the police arrived, and her eyes met those of the robbery victim. A formidable older woman dressed in an expensive coat, her expression a mix of shock and admiration. As the matriarch of the prominent Han family, she cajoled the officers and began to thank Jisoo profusely. Later, when being interviewed as a hero, Jisoo was taken aback by the offer that shaped her destiny. The matriarch wanted her to marry Seungjo, her grandson, and the current CEO of Han Enterprises. The words hung in the air, weighty and disbelieving. Staring at her grandmother's hopeful face, Jisoo's heart raced. What on earth was happening? The idea felt overwhelming, yet beneath the uncertainty was the allure of safety and stability. Maybe this was her chance to break free from the shackles of endless struggle. Her grandmother, sensing her hesitation, whispered reassurances, insisting that acceptance might open doors they had long thought closed. Jisoo's heart tumbled in her chest as she made her decision. Seungjo was a man of few words, his presence intimidating yet intriguing. The lavish world of the Han family felt suffocating at times, filled with expectations as unyielding as the heavy drapery hanging in their mansion. At first, Jisoo felt out of place in her new surroundings, a small fish in an ocean of sharks. But gradually, earnest conversations with Seungjo revealed a person who was as trapped by his family's expectations as she was by her circumstances. Behind his stoic facade lay vulnerability stemming from years of health struggles that had robbed him of confidence. Their relationship evolved in unexpected ways. Jisoo pushed Seungjo into moments of spontaneity, inspiring him to explore his passions beyond the rigid confines of corporate responsibilities. As they spent time together, she drew out a sense of fun he thought he'd lost forever. And yet, insecurities loomed. Jisoo became increasingly aware of expectations and whispers around her, especially from Jin Seok, Seungjo's ambitious older brother. Jin Seok's disdain for her presence became palpable and menacing, threatening to shatter whatever fragile stability Jisoo had begun to build. One fateful evening, in the midst of a gala hosted by the Han family, Jisoo discovered she was pregnant. The joyful news filled her with light. Their love was growing. But that happiness dimmed as Jin Seok's jealousy intensified. Seungjo's status now seemed more precarious than ever, the stakes rising with every passing moment. It became clear that Jin Seok would do anything to extinguish the blossoming family Jisoo represented, convinced that her child posed a direct threat to his ambitions. Feeling the walls close in around her, Jisoo found herself cornered by circumstances beyond her control, her dreams of stability hanging by a thread. As tension peaked, Jisoo faced a pivotal moment. She had to confront not only Jin Seok but her own fears. When he orchestrated a cunning plan to kidnap her, thinking it would force Seung-jo to abdicate, it became a battle for survival. Now, not just for herself, but for her child, Jisoo had to dig deep within her newfound strength. Guided by pure will, Seung-jo refused to buckle under his brother's threats. The true power of family loyalty sparked within him, igniting an urgency to protect Jisoo and the life they had started together. Drawing on evidence of Jin Seok's plots, he turned the situation back in his favor, exposing the darkness that lurked in the heart of their family. Amid the chaos, he stormed in to rescue Jisoo, their reunion fueled by relief and an overwhelming sense of love for what they had created together. As resolution swept through, the dark clouds began to clear. Jisoo and Seung-jo emerged from their struggles transformed. They faced their past with humility and a shared commitment to nurturing their family's future, striving to redefine what it meant to be a part of the Han legacy. While challenges persisted, their bond forged in fire glimmered brightly with possibilities. Standing hand in hand, they gazed out at the vibrant city, ready to embrace the complexities of their lives. They had weathered the storm. Jisoo had not only rescued her own life, but through her courage, had breathed new hope and vitality into Seung-jo's world. No longer merely a chance encounter, their marriage blossomed into a love story, simultaneously resilient and hopeful, forever guided by the bravery that began it all. Entangled in obligation, can two hearts find freedom? The question hung in the air as Seung-jo sat in the lavish parlor of his family estate, the weight of expectations pressing heavily upon him. A man forged in the image of power and prestige, he had become a symbol of both envy and concern among the elite circles. Whispers of illness and rumors of infertility had cast a shadow over his ambitions, leaving him shrouded in a mystique that both fascinated and alienated those around him. As the heir to the Han Empire, he was supposed to lead with strength, yet inside, he felt trapped by the very legacy he was destined to uphold. His grandmother, a formidable woman known for her keen insights, had orchestrated his marriage to Jisoo, a woman whose courage had astonished him just days prior. Initially, he saw the union as a duty rather than a partnership, agreeing to it with reluctance. Emerging out of the chaos that entangled their fortunes, Jisoo's unexpected spirit piqued his curiosity but also raised suspicion. Did she see him as a partner or merely a stepping stone in her own ascent? Their first encounter after the marriage proposal was charged with tension. Jisoo entered the grand hall wearing a dress that symbolized her humble roots, yet her stance spoke of resilience. Seung-jo couldn't help but admire the fire in her eyes, yet he was cautious. He could not afford to be vulnerable. "You seem out of place," he remarked, his voice deliberately cool, yet part of him longed to see her smile. "Maybe I'm exactly where I need to be," Jisoo shot back, her tone playful, yet laced with defiance. It caught him off guard. As their conversations stretched into hours, he began to glimpse beneath her bravado. Despite her modest means, she possessed a vigor that challenged his seclusion, pulling him closer to a world of authenticity he had long evaded. As days passed, their lives intertwined amidst the opulence and scrutiny of the Han family. Seung-jo watched Jisoo navigate the complexities of her new life, defying expectations with her refreshing perspective. But as rumors about their mismatched marriage circulated, both faced growing external pressures. Each day brought fresh challenges, from eyebrows raised at family gatherings to Jin Seok's scornful remarks, all testing their resolve. During one tense family dinner, Seung-jo's irritation peaked as Jin Seok mocked Jisoo's naivety. "Do you think the world is as simple as you once believed?" he sneered, believing he was demonstrating superiority. Instead of crumbling before her brother-in-law's judgment, Jisoo straightened in her seat, her voice steady. "No, but simplicity takes wisdom, and maybe that's what this family needs." It was in that moment Seung-jo saw the spark in her courage, a dim light blazing brighter, echoing the strength he yearned for. But with every displayed bond came the burden of expectations. Much to his dismay, he found himself torn. The desire to protect her conflicted with his fears of what the marriage might truly entail. As tension escalated, Seung-jo found himself at a crossroads. Alone, he contemplated his life, his marriage, and the swirling fears that accompanied his condition. But it was during a solitary evening, his thoughts darkened by uncertainty, that Jisoo walked in, vibrant and determined. "You don't have to carry this penalty alone," she said softly, taking a seat beside him, her hand warm against his cooler demeanor. "Let me in, Seung-jo. You might be surprised by what we can build together." Their gazes locked, and something shifted within him. Realization broke through his walls. Her words ignited a flicker of hope. "I am damaged goods," he mumbled, the vulnerability scalding his pride. Jisoo smiled faintly. "We all carry scars. Yours can be the foundation of something stronger if you allow it." With her encouragement echoing in his mind, Seung-jo made a decisive choice. He would confront the truth about his condition, not just for himself, but for the family he had been destined to lead, and for the woman who had stood unwaveringly by his side. Unexpectedly, at a family meeting intended to reaffirm his role, he revealed the truth of his health, reports long feared buried in silence. His honesty shattered palpable tension, forcing Jin Seok to reevaluate his own projected superiority. The atmosphere shifted. Murmurs of disbelief softened into a grounded realization of vulnerability. Jisoo's unwavering gaze met his, showering him in silent support. As they emerged from that harrowing day, wiser and more connected than before, Jisoo and Seung-jo grew closer, their trust intertwining through shared honesty. The road ahead remained daunting, riddled with whispers of doubt and challenges that would test the depths of their love and commitment. But they had begun to grasp the essence of partnership, no longer mere players in a family game, but allies bound by an authentic connection. In their quiet solitude, a tentative hope began to bloom. Together they would tackle the storms of familial expectations, societal judgments, and personal insecurities. The future awaited them with open arms, promising adventure and resilience. Seung-jo, now emboldened by Jisoo's unwavering spirit, accepted that he was not alone, and with that acceptance came the light of love and potential for a bright legacy they would build together. In a world where grace can mask deep cracks, two souls stand on opposite shores yearning for connection. Jisoo stepped into the Han estate, her heart pounding as she crossed the threshold of opulence. The grandeur was overwhelming. Crystal chandeliers sparkled like stars above, and the scent of fresh blooms enveloped her in a heady embrace. Yet amid the beauty, a sense of crushing inadequacy crept into her thoughts. She was just a girl from a modest background, thrust into a world dictated by wealth and expectation. Now, as the new wife of Seung-jo, heir to the Han legacy, she felt like a fragile flower amid the towering trees of a grand forest. Seung-jo, meanwhile, sat in the study, absent-mindedly staring out at the sprawling gardens where laughter and warmth thrived. A bittersweet reminder of what eluded him. His family's expectations loomed over him, suffocating in their demand for perfection. Whispers of his health and fertility hung like dark clouds, leaching vitality from his spirit. Though he was a powerful figure, these struggles shaped a man riddled with doubts about his own legacy. His marriage felt more like an obligation than a partnership, the weight of duty pressing heavily on his shoulders. As Jisoo adjusted to her new environment, she stumbled upon the subtle tension between her and Seung-jo, their interactions painted with unspoken words. Seung-jo often observed her from afar, his thoughts a jumble of admiration and wariness. "You have such a way of bringing life into dull rooms," he remarked one evening at dinner, lifting his glass, though the warmth in his gaze was often replaced by shadows of concern. Jisoo struggled to find her footing among the polished elite, her ambitions overshadowed by feelings of not belonging. In contrast, as the weeks passed, Jisoo's determination began to shine through. One afternoon, she organized a small gathering for the family, hoping to bridge the gap that lay between them. As laughter echoed and good-natured teasing filled the air, Jisoo beamed with pride. Yet her moment of triumph came crashing down when Jin Seok, Seung-jo's critical older brother, unleashed a veiled insult regarding Jisoo's background, puncturing her fragile confidence. "Perhaps a more refined taste would have been suitable for our home's decor," he sneered, a triumphant smirk dancing on his lips. Jisoo's smile faltered, and all warmth seemed to seep out of the room. Seung-jo felt the crack in the atmosphere, yet silence gripped him. In that moment, peace felt distant. The disparity of their worlds had never felt more pronounced. Jisoo's eyes, brimming with unshed tears, spoke of vulnerability that made his pulse quicken, but he remained rooted in his seat. He admired her spirit, but immense pressure clawed at him, rendering him paralyzed amidst the storm of familial expectations. One night, unable to hide the anxiety mounting within him, Seung-jo ventured into the garden, seeking solace among the flowers illuminated by the moonlight. But he wasn't alone. Jisoo stood there, the silver light softening her features. "I'm sorry about Jin Seok," she said, her voice barely above a whisper, revealing the depths of her hurt. "I didn't defend you," he admitted, the vulnerability cutting through his usual stoicism. The weight of unspoken fears hung between them, and as she met his gaze, he felt an undeniable tug toward her sincerity. The shimmering facade of his royal expectations cracked open. "It's not your fault, Seung-jo. I'm learning. I just wish I could feel like I belong," she confessed, her emotions spilling forth like a floodgate unleashed. In that moment, leverage shifted. He no longer saw her, just as his wife, but as a partner sharing the weight of two entangled lives. "You don't have to prove anything to anyone. You already belong here," he promised, sincerity radiating from him. The connection between them deepened, yet external pressures continued to tighten their grip. As Jisoo gradually embraced her role, she unveiled a talent for diplomacy that intrigued Seung-jo. He witnessed her deft hand at navigating difficult guests, de-escalating tense family discussions, and bringing out the best in people, each small victory nourishing their bond. But just when hope surged forward, the tide turned unexpectedly. In a family meeting where plans for the Han legacy were to be outlined, an unexpected announcement shocked everyone. Seung-jo's health had deteriorated further than he revealed, igniting the fears that had long licked at the edges of their lives. The truth landed like a thunderclap, and the family erupted in chaos, with Jin Seok viciously questioning Seung-jo's capacity to lead and casting doubts on Jisoo's worth. The scene spiraled out of control, leaving Jisoo feeling small and exposed in the vastness of opposing forces. Seung-jo's frustration peaked. He had hidden himself for so long, yet there she stood, unyielding and fierce, drawing strength from their shared promises. He felt the shift. The moment of truth was upon them. With a newfound determination coursing through both of them, they took a stand together against the tide of judgment. Seung-jo declared his commitment, voicing the principles that mattered more than lineage: honor, integrity, and love. Surprising even himself, he spoke openly with his family, sharing truths both humbling and daunting, empowering Jisoo in the process. "Accept us for who we are," he implored, meeting her eyes, a silent reassurance grounding them both. As the dust began to settle, and amidst the swirling fears and expectations, they emerged from that confrontation not merely as husband and wife, but as partners, two beings intertwined, fortified by trials faced together. Though challenges lay ahead, their journey was ripe with opportunity for growth, learning, and love. Stepping back into the light, Jisoo and Seung-jo stood side by side, ready to forge a path as individuals entwined in their respective narratives. They accepted that vulnerability was not weakness. It was the bridge to understanding. Together, they transformed their disparate worlds into a tapestry woven with shared hopes for the future, where love could indeed pave the way through the daunting and elegant world of expectations that lay before them. In a world where genuine connections are overshadowed by ambition, love can become a battlefield. Jisoo stood amid the sprawling estate of the Han family, her heart a mix of determination and apprehension. As Seung-jo's new wife, she had everything to prove not just to this illustrious family, but also to herself. The wealth and elegance surrounding her felt alien, yet within it, she carried a resilient spirit that sparked a faint warmth in Sheng Zhou's otherwise hardened heart. He had long been ensnared in the expectations of a lineage burdened by whispers of inadequacy. Yet Jisu's unwavering hope began to slowly chip away at his reservations. As they navigated the complexities of their marriage, Jisu threw herself into her role with passion. She endeavored to bring a fresh perspective to the Han family's operations, proposing new initiatives in the company that combined modern sensibility with traditional values. Her ability to connect with employees caught Sheng Zhou off guard, revealing the layers of warmth within his cold world. "You really believe in them, don't you?" he asked one evening, watching her interact with the staff, her laughter infectious and genuine. "They're not just numbers. They're people trying their best," she replied, her eyes shining with fervor. "Everyone deserves a chance to be heard." This new approach reinvigorated Sheng Zhou, who realized he had stifled the potential of his own legacy by adhering rigidly to old ways. Yet, while Jisu flourished amidst the challenges, a storm brewed behind the polished doors of the Han estate. Jin Seok, Sheng Zhou's older brother, watched closely, his jealousy growing as Jisu asserted her presence. Each attempt she made to introduce fresh ideas was met with thinly veiled disdain. Jin Seok viewed her not as a partner but as a threat, bent on undermining her at every turn. One afternoon, during a company event intended to showcase Jisu's new initiatives, Jin Seok orchestrated a subtle yet damaging maneuver that left her floundering. He sabotaged the presentation with snide remarks, forcing Jisu to stumble over her words in front of prospective investors. The whispers in the room grew louder, filled with doubt and judgment. Sheng Zhou's face darkened as he recognized Jin Seok's ploy, but the moment had already taken its toll. Jisu's spirit, so vibrant just moments before, dimmed in the face of a hostile audience. The tension escalated as Jisu confronted Sheng Zhou that evening, her vulnerability laid bare. "I thought we were a team. I believed I could help us grow, but it feels like I'm fighting battles alone." Tears welled in her eyes as frustration and anguish spilled over, exposing her insecurities about her place in his world. Sheng Zhou wrestled with his own feelings of inadequacy. "You should know that I'm trying to navigate all of this as well. My life has been a series of expectations. I want to support you, but Jin Seok..." His words trailed off, revealing how the weight of family dynamics often muted his resolve. In a moment of heightened tension, they both realized that their individual struggles had shadowed their partnership. As Jisu fought to belong, Sheng Zhou grappled with the pressures of coming to terms with his own limitations, and those barriers stood as walls between them. Bolstered by her love for Sheng Zhou, Jisu resolved to confront Jin Seok directly. The showdown proved both exhilarating and terrifying. "You think you can intimidate me? I won't back down, nor will I let you dictate what I can or cannot do." Her voice rang out in the family conference room, her challenge hanging thick in the air, an unexpected ripple against the polished surface of Han family facades. "Such passion, but don't forget where you stand," Jin Seok retorted, feigning calm while fury simmered just below the surface. "You're an outsider in this family." "Perhaps," she replied, returning his gaze with fierce determination. "But I care for Sheng Zhou, and I care for this company. My heart is dedicated to this family, just as much as yours." The ensuing silence bore witness to Jisu's courage. A shift began to echo through the room, causing even Sheng Zhou to stand taller beside her. He realized in that moment that Jisu wasn't just fighting for herself. She was challenging the very traditions that had stifled them both. This confrontation ignited a chain reaction, reshaping their world. With Jisu taking her place alongside him, Sheng Zhou felt empowered to assert his own authority for the first time. He stepped into the role of leader, confronting Jin Seok and the family's ingrained expectations directly. "If we are to grow as a family and a company, we must embrace change. It's time to move forward," he declared, his voice steady, bolstered by Jisu's unwavering support. Though the road ahead remained fraught with challenges and resistance, the couple emerged more unified than ever, their destined paths now intertwined. Over subsequent months, Jisu's optimistic influence began to reshape the company's culture, as she and Seong-jo worked side by side to reimagine what it meant to lead. The wounds inflicted by Jin Seok's jealousy slowly began to heal, revealing a fragile truce forged through mutual respect. As they fell into a new rhythm, Jisoo and Seong-jo found themselves embracing a partnership built on authenticity. Late nights at work transitioned into quiet moments spent laughing together, forging their own identity within the complex tapestry of the Han family. With hope and resilience both guiding them forward, Jisoo stepped confidently into her role beside Seong-jo, their lives intertwined in a narrative filled with promise and renewal. Together, they dismantled the barriers that once divided them, crafting a future where love was the cornerstone of their legacy, resilient against the trials that lay ahead. While challenges would come, they faced them hand in hand, ready to redefine not just their paths, but the legacy of the Han family itself. A single heartbeat can rewrite destiny. Jisoo stared in disbelief at the pregnancy test in her trembling hands, her world plunging into a whirlpool of joy and uncertainty. She had come a long way from being an outsider in the Han family to settling into her role as Seong-jo's supportive partner. But now, the announcement of her pregnancy threatened to change everything, confronting her with a reality that shattered the long-standing belief of Seong-jo's infertility. The evening air was thick with anticipation when she finally gathered the courage to share the news with Seong-jo. He was seated at the lavish mahogany dining table, poring over company reports, while the soft glow of candles flickered a warm light through the expansive room. A part of him sensed the shift in her energy as she entered, her steps hesitant yet hopeful. "Seong-jo," she began, her voice wavering slightly. "I have something important to tell you." He looked up, his expression a mix of curiosity and fatigue. "What is it, Jisoo?" Taking a deep breath, she set the test on the table between them. The silence that followed felt interminable. Seong-jo's eyes flitted from her face to the test, then back again, uncertainty brimming in his gaze. "Are you—" he stammered, the words trailing off, suffocated by the weight of disbelief. "I am pregnant," she finally confirmed, and a rush of emotions cascaded through Seong-jo's features: elation, fear, confusion. Joy rushed through Jisoo as well, but it was accompanied by an overwhelming tide of anxiety. This revelation not only blessed their union, but also placed them at the center of looming rivalries and unforeseen dangers, particularly as Jin Seok, Seong-jo's older brother, watched with calculating eyes. Jin Seok's ambition had always been to rise above his younger brother, seizing control of the Han Empire. News of Jisoo's pregnancy traveled like wildfire through the family, quickly igniting jealousy. To him, this unborn child was unthinkably threatening, a challenge to his position and a powerful symbol of Jisoo's acceptance into the family. From that moment, tensions escalated. In hushed meetings, Jin Seok plotted with his allies, strategizing how to undermine Jisoo's influence. "This child could ruin everything," he whispered, his features twisted in anger. "We must do whatever it takes to erase the claim they may have on the family name." In the days that followed, Jisoo found herself navigating an emotional minefield. The glow of her pregnancy was overshadowed by whispers and sidelong glances at every family gathering. She was aware of the growing animosity directed toward her, particularly from Jin Seok, whose passive-aggressive remarks often stung. Yet amid it all, she remained resolute, determined to forge a place for herself within the family and protect the child that was now part of their lives. One afternoon, while preparing for a child's future that felt ever more uncertain, Jisoo received an unexpected visit from her mother-in-law, the matriarch of the Han family. The elder woman's words were blunt and unyielding. "You must understand the weight of your situation. You are not just carrying a child, you are carrying legacy." "I want to do this," Jisoo insisted, her voice firm. "This child will be loved and cared for, not merely a pawn in some family game." The challenge in her tone caught her mother-in-law off guard, yet Jisoo felt as though she had scrapped away a thin layer of distrust. For the first time, respect flickered in the matriarch's eyes. Meanwhile, Seong-jo, torn between loyalty to his family and his love for Jisoo, faced his own inner turmoil. The deluge of responsibilities that came with impending fatherhood weighed heavily on him. One late evening, as they relaxed in their shared space, he turned to Jisoo, vulnerability weaving through his words. "What if I'm not enough? What if I can't protect you both? Then we'll protect each other," she replied gently, placing her hand over his. "This is our child. Whatever battles lie ahead, we fight together." It was a promise that tethered them in this storm of uncertainty, igniting a spark of hope even while shadows loomed beyond their cozy sanctuary. The climax arrived unexpectedly during a family dialogue. Jin Seok stood at the helm, attempting to sow discord among the family members. "This child is a distraction. If we want to protect what we have built, we cannot allow our lineage to be diluted by uncertainties," he announced, casting a disdainful glance towards Jisoo. Seung-jo felt the rage ignite within him, a fire that had been smoldering for far too long. "This child is not a distraction. It's our future. I will not let you manipulate the narrative any longer," he declared, his voice echoing through the gathering. The intensity of his words left a powerful silence in their wake, filled only by the weight of his resolve. Jisoo's heart danced with urgency as she stepped alongside her husband. "I want to raise this child in a family that values love and unity, not one ruled by ambition and fear," she asserted, her voice a steady beacon amidst rising tempers. Their words hung in the air, a stark contrast to the manipulative schemes of Jin Seok, whose facade began to crack under the pressure of a united front. In that heated moment, the foundation of their marriage shifted dramatically, affirming their commitment not only to each other, but to the child they would bring into this world. While Jin Seok floundered, facing the fierceness of a family forged together by love, Jisoo and Seung-jo emerged more resolute than ever. They stood against the emerging winds, prepared to defy the tumult that threatened to disrupt their burgeoning family. As the dust settled, the bonds between Jisoo and Seung-jo tightened, forged in the crucible of adversity. They refused to allow the ambitions of others to determine their child's worth or future. Underneath the weighty expectations and challenges ahead, they chose hope over despair, love over power. The unfolding path ahead was still uncertain, tensions lingered, and rivalries would continue to brew. Yet in that moment, Jisoo understood that together, they would redefine their destiny, raising their child in an environment radiating warmth and affection, proving once and for all that love had the strength to conquer even the most daunting trials. Life can change in an instant, turning love into leverage. As the news of Jisoo's pregnancy reverberated through the opulent halls of the Han estate, joy quickly morphed into a weapon for Jin Seok. The glimmer of excitement that once brightened Jisoo's world was overshadowed by the looming presence of jealousy and ambition from her brother-in-law. Jin Seok believed this child represented not just a challenge to his ambitions, but a direct threat to his control over the Han family legacy. The glittering chandeliers of the Han household now illuminated the grudges that festered in the hearts of its members. Jisoo thrived on the vibrancy of her new role, excited to welcome life into the world, while Seung-jo wrestled with his own insecurities about being a father and the expectations that came with it. Despite their growing bond, the shadow of Jin Seok loomed heavily over their happiness. Unbeknownst to Jisoo and Seung-jo, Jin Seok had been patiently plotting. In clandestine meetings with unscrupulous associates, he crafted a malevolent scheme to grab control while eliminating the threat posed by Jisoo. "If I can hold her hostage, it will force Seung-jo's hand," he hissed, his eyes glinting with calculated malevolence. Determined not to lose his grip on power, he prepared to make his move. One fateful evening, while Jisoo busied herself preparing for a family gathering, she felt the familiar warmth of anticipation mixed with a hint of apprehension. The vibrant scents of traditional dishes wafted through the air as she skillfully arranged the tablecloth, creating a welcoming atmosphere. But just as she secured everything in place, darkness descended upon her reality. Amid the joyous laughter and clinking of glasses, Jin Seok executed his plan. As Jisoo stepped out onto the terrace for a breath of fresh air, shadows closed in around her, and before she could react, she was seized from behind. Her frantic cries for help were swallowed by the night. Panic surged within her. Every instinct cried out for Seung-jo, but in the chaos, she was silenced. Back inside, the celebration quickly turned into confusion. Seung-jo sensed something was off as he searched for Jisoo. Her absence gnawed at him, stirring a fierce protectiveness. When he finally learned of her kidnapping, his heart pounded in his chest. With resolve brewing alongside desperation, he fought through the rising tide of fear. "I have to find her," he uttered, determination etching every line of his face. As Seung-jo plunged into the search, he reached out to trusted associates and security teams, leaving no stone unturned. His mind raced with concern and guilt. Could he have done something to prevent this? In those moments of vulnerability, he reflected on the depths of his feelings for Jisoo. She had not only become his partner, but the embodiment of hope and strength in his life. Meanwhile, Jisoo, trapped in a stark, dimly lit room, summoned her own inner resolve. Fear clung to her, but as the shadows danced against the walls, she reminded herself that she would not be a victim. The image of her unborn child anchored her spirit, fueling her determination to fight back. "I will not be taken down easily," she whispered, clenching her fists as she plotted her escape. In the heart of escalating tensions, the climax loomed as Seung-jo pieced together clues leading him to Jin-seok's lair. Confrontation seemed inevitable. He gathered his courage and turned to his closest confidants, preparing for a showdown that would test his familial bonds and his love for Jisoo. "This ends tonight. I will bring her home," he declared, a fire igniting in his eyes. When the moment of reckoning arrived, it played out in a deserted warehouse, a stark contrast to the luxury of the Han estate. Seung-jo burst through the doors, his heart racing as he shouted Jisoo's name. The call echoed in the cavernous space, drawing the attention of Jin-seok and his men. "You think you can just take what's mine?" Jin-seok sneered, wearing a mask of false bravado while eyeing Jisoo, bound yet fierce. "I'll never let you have her," Seung-jo roared, fueled by adrenaline and love. The room erupted into chaos as Seung-jo charged forward, the clash of loyalty and ambition culminating in a furious struggle. Jisoo, seizing the opportunity, wrested herself free from her captors amid the distraction, her instincts sharp in the face of danger. In a stunning turn of events, Jisoo joined the fight. She wielded her resolve like a weapon, directly confronting Jin-seok. "You will not control me or our child. You underestimate the strength of love," she proclaimed, surprising everyone, including herself. The balance shifted as the bond she shared with Seung-jo fueled a unified front against Jin-seok's betrayal. Together, they overpowered the assailants, and with one final blow, Jin-seok realized he was no match for the power of their love and unity. As he stumbled back, defeated, the weight of his ambitions crumbled with him. Emerging from the shadows, Seung-jo and Jisoo stood together, breathless yet victorious. They embraced, the warmth of their connection engulfing them as relief washed over their weary bodies. "I was so scared," Jisoo confessed, her voice trembling yet resolute. "I'll always fight for you," he promised, a renewed determination painting a future that would transcend the darkness they had faced. As they left the warehouse behind, the bond between Jisoo and Seung-jo felt fortified by their harrowing experience. They knew the challenges that lay ahead would come with greater clarity and strength, both as lovers and as parents. Seung-jo's fears of inadequacy began to fade, replaced by the unwavering knowledge that they would face whatever came next together. In the hands of love, their future became a canvas of hope, interwoven with the trials that had shaped their destiny. As they stepped into the light of dawn, the world before them shimmered with possibility, resonating with the beauty of a love that not only survived turmoil, but triumphed against it, forging a legacy of resilience for their growing family. Betrayal runs deep within blood, but love can stir the strongest of hearts to fight. The tension within the Han family had reached a boiling point, a simmering cauldron of ambition and treachery. Seung-jo stood at the precipice of a revelation that would forever alter the course of his life, his pulse quickening as he pieced together the sinister web spun by his brother, Jin-seok. The confrontation loomed before him. He knew the time had come to publicly expose Jin Seok's ruthless schemes, not just to protect Jisoo, but to reclaim the honor and integrity of their family. The opulent halls of the Han estate, once a symbol of prestige, now felt suffocating. Seungjo paced back and forth in his study, the dim light casting long shadows on the walls, a stark reminder of the darkness looming over them. Jisoo's laughter, vibrant and full of life, echoed from the living room, grounding him in a reality where love flourished, despite the contours of their world. However, Jin Seok's ambition pinched at Seungjo's heart like a vice, each moment tainted by worry. It wasn't only Jisoo's safety that was at stake. His own legacy hinged upon this impending revelation. At the family dinner later that evening, the air was heavy with anticipation. Members of the Han family gathered, glances often flickering to Jin Seok, who maintained an air of nonchalance as he played with his food, a faint smirk lurking. Seungjo felt the mounting uncertainty like an electric current racing through the room. His heart thundered as he prepared to unveil the truth. "Family," he began, his voice steady despite the tempest within. "There are serious matters that require attention." His gaze locked onto Jin Seok, who feigned innocence but could not entirely hide the glint of malice in his eye. "I have reason to believe there are plots against us, orchestrated from within." A murmur rippled through the room as tension thickened. Jin Seok feigned surprise, but didn't deny the accusations. "What are you suggesting, Seungjo? You're not making any sense," he retorted smoothly, his facade slipping into mocking disdain. "I'm talking about your relentless ambition and treachery that has reached new heights," Seungjo replied, every word dripping with the weight of betrayal. "You crudely used Jisoo as bait, intending to kidnap her for your own gain." The room fell silent. Wide gazes and shock stamped across the faces of family members as the truth unfolded. Jisoo, standing just outside the circle, felt her heart race as she clutched the doorframe, breath hitching at the realization of her husband's courage. "You truly think you can protect this family with lies?" Jin Seok spat, his mask cracking as rage surged forward. "I won't allow you to ruin our legacy because of some fleeting affection." In this moment, Seungjo felt a visceral shift within him, fueled by love and fury. "It's not some fleeting affection. I love Jisoo," he declared, his voice booming. The public declaration ignited a firestorm of emotions, fear, pride, and a twisted sense of loyalty, yet also sparked a realization among them that family ties could wield both chains and liberation. Before anyone could react, Jisoo broke through the tense atmosphere, her voice commanding yet vulnerable. "Seungjo's right. We deserve better than to be pawns in your game, Jin Seok. You've underestimated the power of love and unity." This assertion struck Jin Seok hard, his face paling as every detail of his carefully laid plans began to crumble under the light of scrutiny. As the confrontation escalated, Seungjo took a deep breath, resolved to confront the man who had plotted against his family and stolen his peace. Without hesitation, Seungjo turned away from the shocked audience, determined to confront Jin Seok directly. "You've mistaken my loyalty for weakness, but you will not destroy what I hold dear." In a heartbeat, the nature of their conflict shifted from familial bond to the battleground of righteousness. The ensuing struggle in the grand hallway turned into a tense confrontation, where fists were thrown, each blow echoing years of suppressed resentment. As they fought, the stakes soared, and the support of family members hung on every movement, entrapped in their own loyalties. After a fierce struggle, Seungjo gained the upper hand, pinning Jin Seok against the wall, fury flashing through his eyes. "This is the end of your reign of manipulation," he asserted, holding his brother firmly. "Your desire for power cannot overpower the love in our family." Jin Seok's expression flickered with fear and anger as the weight of his actions caught up with him. Seungjo released him, letting Jin Seok's pride unravel in the face of collective disapproval. Once their confrontation ended, a silence saturated the space as Jin Seok withdrew from the room, leaving the family to confront the ambivalence surrounding their shared blood. In the wake of public denouncement, The gravity of Seungjo's words hung in the air, a foundation reshaped by love, loyalty, and an unrelenting desire to reclaim what was lost. As he turned to Jisoo, the breathless weight of the confrontation was replaced with relief and tenderness. He reached for her hand, squeezing it gently. "It's over now. They'll see us for who we truly are," he promised, knowing they had conquered not just Jin Seok, but the doubts that had haunted him. In the aftermath, the Han family faced an uncertain future. Their once shimmering legacy reflected jagged edges that would take time to mend. But among the rubble, Jisoo's presence shone like a beacon. Seungjo and Jisoo stood united, having proven that the ties of love could withstand even the fiercest storms of betrayal. As the moments of recalibration began, Seungjo leaned down to bring his forehead against Jisoo's, silent vows exchanged through the closeness of their entwined souls. Together, they would weather the aftermath and forge a path illuminated by honesty, compassion, and unconditional love. True strength is born from the ashes of adversity. The sun filtered into the Han estate, casting a warm glow over the rich yet complicated tapestry of family dynamics within. Jisoo and Seungjo stood shoulder to shoulder, their hands intertwined, hearts swelling with a newfound resilience. After the turmoil and betrayal orchestrated by Jin Seok, their bond had not only endured but flourished, fortified by love and a shared sense of purpose. Together, they embarked on the daunting journey of confronting their family's legacy, eyes set firmly on shattering the stigma surrounding Seungjo's health. With every step they took, echoes of fear and doubt lingered, but so did the unstoppable force of their commitment to one another. The morning meetings with the family were ripe with tension as whispers of uncertainty filled the air. Jisoo, silent yet determined, often caught the eye of Seungjo, her presence a silent reminder of everything they had fought for. At one particularly tense family gathering, the matriarch, Seungjo's mother, expressed her worry. "Are you sure you're ready for this responsibility, Seungjo? Your health, it could hinder our reputation." With her words echoing around the table, Jisoo felt a prick of frustration. She glanced at Seungjo, whose eyes betrayed the vulnerability he typically masked well. "I've learned that strength doesn't always come from physical health," Jisoo interjected, her voice steady. "It can come from the heart. And Seungjo's heart is stronger than you think." A charged silence enveloped the room, and for a fleeting moment, admiration sparkled in Seungjo's eyes. This unwavering support empowered him to meet his family's expectations head-on. Days turned into weeks as Jisoo and Seungjo began to implement changes within the family business. Each small victory cultivated confidence in both of them, yet Jin Seok's smoldering resentment simmered beneath the surface. He had retreated into the shadows, stirring up dissent among family members who viewed Jisoo's methods as reckless and dangerously disruptive. The revelation came on an ordinary afternoon, a moment stolen from the chaos. Jisoo and Seungjo stood in the garden, admiring the blossoms swaying gently in the breeze. "Can we really change things?" Jisoo asked, her voice laced with uncertainty. "What if they never accept me?" Seungjo turned to her, his expression softened by the intimacy of the moment. "They will, as long as we stand together." In that exchange, nestled among the blooms, the atmosphere thickened with unspoken fears, but also with the tantalizing potential for hope. However, life within the Han estate took a sharp turn when Jin Seok made a surprising re-entry, cornering Jisoo while she was on her way to a meeting. "You're nothing more than a usurper," he hissed, his voice low and menacing. "You think you can lead? You'll fail. And when you do, you'll drag Seungjo down with you." Jisoo's heart raced, but she forced herself to maintain composure. "You underestimate what love can accomplish," she shot back, matching his intensity. "Your power games won't hold a candle to our unity." Jin Seok's face tightened, and as he backed away, a plot began to form in his mind. He was determined to devise a plan that would undermine Jisoo and ruin her standing within the family. As the weeks passed, the tension increased. Jin Seok cleverly sowed seeds of discord, whispering assertions that Jisoo's leadership jeopardized the family's future. These insidious rumors began to creep through the ranks, until Jisoo found herself on the defensive during business meetings, unsure of whom to trust. Amidst it all, Seung-jo remained steadfast, but even his resolve threatened to fracture under the weight of uncertainty. One pivotal evening, after an especially difficult family meeting filled with animosity towards Jisoo, Seung-jo found himself alone with Jisoo on the balcony. "Am I failing you by not standing up more?" he asked, his voice trembling. "I thought I could protect you from this." Jisoo reached for his hand, her warmth radiating through him. "We're in this together, Seung-jo. You've already shown incredible strength. Facing these challenges alongside me speaks volumes about your character." Her unwavering faith in him reignited the fire he thought he had lost. With renewed determination, Seung-jo organized a family meeting to confront the rumors head-on. "I will not allow you to scapegoat Jisoo for the insecurities that festers between us," he asserted, the intensity in his voice echoing through the hall. "It's time we grow and accept the changes she brings, not just for our business, but for our family." The confrontation teetered on the edge of chaos as Jin Seok attempted to derail the meeting. "You're blinded by her charm," he shouted, desperation heavy in his tone. "She lacks the experience and the pedigree to lead this family." But Seung-jo met his brother's anger with unyielding strength. "Her compassion and vision are exactly what we need. We've both seen the depths of this family's flaws and accept that the past is not the path to our future." The tension snapped, and in that moment, family members began to rally around Jisoo and Seung-jo, recognizing the authenticity in their unity. Subtle but punctuating glances of support passed among the group as they saw a chance for growth beyond selfish ambition. Yet, Jin Seok's face twisted with rage and defeat at once. The room buzzed with murmurs as he retreated, leaving Seung-jo and Jisoo fortified in their new standing. "Together we can forge a new path for the Han legacy," Seung-jo whispered, his eyes locked onto Jisoo's, the aching weight of fear finally lifting. With the storm apparently past, Jisoo and Seung-jo began their journey as co-leaders of the Han family. Their path was not devoid of obstacles, but they ventured into it hand in hand, ready to define a legacy of compassion and integrity. As they moved forward, acknowledging their differences only strengthened their resolve to embrace a shared vision for the future. In the days that followed, Jisoo's ideas took root, their nurturing seen in the resounding approval of employees at the family business. Above the challenges, their love blossomed, binding them against the world outside, a center that could not fracture easily. As they stood together overlooking the sprawling estate, their hearts swelled with ambition, hope, and promise. A new era dawning for the Han family, enriched by the values of love they had fought to embody. Together they were not just leaders, they were the architects of their destiny. From the ashes of betrayal, new life begins to bloom. The festive air within the Han estate felt different. It was infused with a vibrant sense of hope and renewal. The aftermath of the dramatic rescue led by Seung-jo had transformed not only their lives, but the entire fabric of the Han family's legacy. Celebrations filled the sprawling halls as family members gathered, rallying behind Jisoo and Seung-jo, who had become symbols of resilience. The atmosphere buzzed with laughter and cheerful chatter, but distant echoes of the past still lingered. Jisoo, clad in a beautifully embroidered dress, navigated the bustling rooms filled with familiar faces. Her heart swelled with pride, yet under her smile lay remnants of fear, not for herself, but for the child she carried and the responsibilities that were now her own. She had grown accustomed to the idea of stepping into her role as Seung-jo's partner in both love and leadership, but uncertainty about the future loomed like a storm cloud. "Look at you, Jisoo. You're practically glowing," teased Hana, Seung-jo's sister, pulling her into a warm embrace. Their bond had strengthened since the tumultuous events, and Hana's kindness reassured Jisoo through moments of doubt. Yet even among the celebration, whispers of skepticism floated in the air. Some family members still struggled to accept Jisoo, questioning whether she was truly fit to lead beside Seung-jo. Across the room, Seungjo caught Jisoo's gaze from beneath the archway decorated with illuminated blossoms. He felt an overwhelming sense of pride as he watched her effortlessly mingle with family members, embodying the spirit of hope they all needed. Their struggles had only deepened their connection, forging a love that transcended fear. But beneath the surface of joy lay a simmering tension as Jin Seok, still reeling from his recent defeat, loomed in the shadows. While the gatherings were filled with light, he watched with envy, plotting to disrupt their newfound peace. His mind swirled with resentments, crafting a return in his mind that he deemed inevitable, ready to snatch the power he believed should rightfully be his. The evening flowed into the heart of celebration. A toast was proposed to honor Jisoo and Seungjo as future leaders of the Han Empire. As family members raised their glasses, Jisoo stood beside Seungjo, his hand resting protectively over her growing belly, signaling a promise of unity. "To new beginnings and the strength of our bonds," he announced, his voice steady, reverberating with the echoes of all they had endured. Yet just as the celebration reached its peak, the atmosphere shifted. Jin Seok, rising from his secluded corner, interrupted with a coolly dismissive tone. "And what of your health, Seungjo? Are you truly prepared to lead when you've shown nothing but weakness?" The room fell silent, and an electric tension snapped through the air. Seungjo clenched his jaw, muscles taut with indignation. Jisoo squeezed his hand, the gesture a silent commitment to stand together. "Love and family can forge strength in places where illness might falter," she interjected, her voice steady despite the apprehension. "A true leader's heart does not solely dwell in health, but in the trust they build up around them." Jin Seok's eyes darkened, but before he could retort, Seungjo held up his glass, defiance flickering in his gaze. "I acknowledge my challenges, yet I stand here with pride in my family and my future. Together, we will not only face those challenges, but conquer them." The family shifted, murmurs rippling through the group as they began to embrace the dawning realization that this union could indeed mend wounds and propel them forward. Even the most reluctant embraced the core of Seungjo's words. In that pivotal moment, Jae-sung, their family elder, stepped forward. With wisdom etched across his face, he raised his own glass. "To Seungjo and Jisoo, may your strength change the face of the Han family for generations to come." The toast imbued the air with warmth, creating a protective barrier against the shadows that lingered outside the festivity. Amid the cheers, Seungjo caught sight of Jin Seok's scowl. Determined not to succumb to the poisoned doubts, Jisoo and Seungjo took a small step towards reclaiming their path. They began to strategize their vision for the future, their collaborative spirit blending their strengths. Sessions were filled with laughter, sparks of creativity igniting as they exchanged ideas on how to revitalize the family empire. Days turned to weeks as Jisoo and Seungjo immersed themselves in the family business, tackling challenges both new and inherited. They initiated charitable projects that aligned with their ambitions, fostering relationships with the community and breaking down the barriers put up by past generations. Jisoo had transformed from a woman once underestimated to a leading force within the Han family, proving herself against the naysayers who dared to question her worth. With every decision they made, their bond solidified, emerging as partners not just in circumstance, but in love and aspiration. As they weathered this journey together, the shadows of Jin Seok's animosity began to fade. His antics became mere echoes against the resounding success Jisoo and Seungjo sculpted through love and tenacity. As they approached the date of Jisoo's due arrival, the family gathered in the warmth of anticipation rather than resentment. In the soothing presence of family, Jisoo felt ready. She looked toward Seungjo, who met her gaze, confidence radiating between them. Whatever obstacles lay ahead, they would face them together. A team united by the struggles they conquered and the love they nurtured. Their journey was far from over, but as they prepared to welcome their child, now resting safely within Jisoo, hope floated like the delicate petals of cherry blossoms, light, resilient, and bursting with promise. They had fought for each other and emerged united, ready to shape not just a family, but a legacy built on love, understanding, and resilience. Beneath the surface of love, old wounds can threaten to resurface. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow over the Han estate. But a chill lingered in the air. Jisoo and Seong-jo had weathered the storm of Jin Seok's betrayal and emerged strengthened in their love and commitment to each other. However, the shadows of their tumultuous past weren't easily dispelled. A looming peril remained, as Jin Seok's unresolved resentment simmered just below the surface, waiting for the opportune moment to strike. The couple thrived in the aftermath of Jisoo's tumultuous encounters with Jin Seok, leaning on each other as they began to reclaim their roles within the family and the business. Jisoo felt more empowered every day, her creativity flourishing as she worked on community outreach programs that the Han family had long neglected. Seong-jo, in turn, embraced a renewed purpose in leading the family business with integrity, bolstered by Jisoo's unwavering support. Yet, the specter of Jin Seok loomed, darkening even their brightest moments. He had retreated, his eyes filled with cold determination, waiting for just the right moment to reclaim his power. Rumors buzzed in whispers, mounting like the storm clouds gathering above. One evening, Seong-jo returned from a long day at the office, weariness etched across his brow. Jisoo noticed the tension in his shoulders. Her heart ached at the thought that Jin Seok still wielded influence, lurking just outside their newfound peace. "Is everything all right?" Jisoo asked gently, placing a comforting hand on his arm. Seong-jo sighed, glancing at her, his vulnerabilities raw and exposed. "I wish I could shake off the nagging feeling that he's planning something. It's as if he's waiting for us to slip up. Together, we can face whatever he throws at us," Jisoo replied, her resolve unwavering. "We've come this far, and I believe in what we're building." Encouraged by her faith, Seong-jo leaned in to kiss her forehead. But the comforting moment was cut short as a series of distressing events unfolded. The business faced sudden media scrutiny, and false reports alleged that Jisoo had misappropriated funds. It stirred chaos within their ranks, threatening to tarnish not just Jisoo's reputation, but also their collective work to regain the family's honor. "Who would do this?" Jisoo exclaimed, frustration flaring within her as she read the damning headlines. "Our work is being undermined." Seong-jo clenched his fists, his heart racing. "This reeks of Jin Seok's tactics. He wants to discredit you to weaken us both." As they delved deeper, the couple uncovered a series of sly schemes orchestrated by Jin Seok, manipulating employees and leveraging connections to spread the rumor further. Each revelation felt like a blade cutting deeper. Initially confident and resolved, Jisoo found herself ensnared by feelings of self-doubt. What if they believe it? What if I'm not competent enough to lead? Seong-jo pulled her into a tight embrace, grounding her. "You are more than capable, Jisoo. Don't let his venom undermine everything we've fought for. You've proven your strength time and again." Despite his encouragement, Jisoo struggled to shake off the looming feelings of inadequacy. As they worked tirelessly to counteract the misinformation, the strain began to erode the foundation of their bond. "I don't know if I can bear the weight of this alone," Jisoo confessed, her voice trembling with uncertainty. "You are not alone," Seong-jo responded fiercely. But the tension hung heavy between them, threading doubt where love should have flourished. Determined to confront the issues, Jisoo suggested they hold a press conference to address the allegations head-on, aiming to reclaim their narrative. "If we let this fester, we'll lose everything we've built," she insisted. The idea ignited a flicker of hope, but the fear of public scrutiny and uncertainty sparked a stronger anxiety within them both. The day of the press conference arrived, tension coiling within the air like electricity. Reporters crowded around, eager for confirmation of the scandal, their cameras flashing like arrows aimed straight for Jisoo's heart. She felt vulnerable, the weight of public acceptance pressing against her. As she stepped to the microphone, her stomach churned with nerves. "Today, I stand before you, not just as Jisoo of the Han family, but as a woman committed to truth and integrity," she began, her voice shaky yet steady as she locked eyes with Xiongzhou in the audience. Their connection sensed between them like a lifeline. "We will not be defined by the whispers of the past or the schemes of a few," Xiongzhou added, stepping beside her. "Together, we will face this challenge and emerge stronger." Their unity was palpable, an anchor amidst the storm. Just as it seemed they might control the narrative, a lingering whisper cut through the air. Jin Seok had arrived, weaving through the crowd with a calculated smirk, his presence a chilling reminder of the threat that loomed. "What a charming display," he interjected, his voice dripping with condescension. "But the truth is rarely so easily manipulated." Xiongzhou's jaw clenched as Jisoo stood resolute, eyes blazing with determination. "We will not cower in the face of falsehoods," she declared, her passion igniting a spark within the audience. Jin Seok stepped forward, attempting to size up the couple's unity, but in that moment, Jisoo felt an unexpected surge of confidence. "Our strength lies within our love and commitment to one another, and no amount of betrayal can sever that bond." With their words echoing through the hall, support surged from the crowd, many voicing their commitment to Jisoo and Xiongzhou. As the press conference continued, Jin Seok's arrogance began to wane, and the tide turned against him, revealing the depth of public support the couple had cultivated through authenticity. Though Jin Seok retreated, the road to rebuilding their lives remained fraught with challenges. Yet Jisoo and Xiongzhou emerged from the experience galvanized by new strength and understanding. They saw their relationship evolve through adversity, every shared hardship knitting their souls closer. In the weeks that followed, the couple dove headfirst into their work, initiating community outreach and restorative values in their company. With each project they tackled together, they not only rebuilt the family's reputation, but also constructed solid foundations for their relationship, grounding their shared vision for a prosperous future. Facing the difficulties of trust and commitment, they deepened their bond, embracing their roles as partners. With Jin Seok pushed to the periphery of their lives, they felt liberated and prepared to pour their energy into crafting a legacy anchored in integrity and compassion. As they stood together overlooking the estate, Jisoo placed a hand on her belly, a grin splitting her face. "We're going to raise a child in a family defined by love, not fear," she said, looking up at Xiongzhou with hope shining in her eyes. "Indeed," Xiongzhou replied, his voice filled with tenderness. "Our past may lurk in the shadows, but it will not define our future." Together, they took a step forward into a bright horizon, symbolizing both a promise kept and a life reborn, ready to inspire love and trust for generations to come. Love can build a family, but only resilience can hold it together. The warm light of dawn crept into the Han estate, illuminating the spaces where shadows of past turmoil had once lingered. Jisoo and Xiongzhou stood together, hand in hand, ready to face a future that was bright, yet fraught with challenges. The trials they had collectively endured had woven their lives together with threads of unwavering commitment, transforming them into an unstoppable force. The couple had sacrificed much over the previous months, not only confronting Jin Seok's threats, but also navigating the lingering doubts about their competence as leaders. Tension had fractured family dynamics, and as they prepared to welcome their first child, the weight of responsibility rested heavily on their shoulders. Standing in the nursery, Jisoo lovingly arranged baby clothes while the sunlight filtered through the window, illuminating her growing belly. "I want our child to know they are loved and secure," she mused aloud, her heart swelling with optimism. Xiongzhou, watching her, felt a surge of emotion. "We will create a nurturing environment just like we discussed," he affirmed, yet insecurities clawed at his thoughts. "But what if I'm not a good enough father? What if my health issues hinder our plans?" Jisoo turned to him, her expression tender yet resolute. "You've already proven your strength time and again. We'll learn together as a family, and that's what matters." With the warmth of her words, Xiongzhou felt some of the weight lift, yet Jin Seok's distant presence still loomed over their lives. Despite the victory they had achieved, unsettling rumors occasionally circulated within the family about Xiongzhou's capability to lead, often fueled by Jin Seok's insidious influence. One afternoon, while attending a family brunch, a tense silence enveloped the table as Jin Seok arrived. He sauntered in with a smug smile, eyes flickering toward Jisoo and Seung-jo. "I see our new family dynamic is flourishing," he remarked sarcastically, his tone thick with disdain. The jab cut deeper than his words implied, and in that moment, Jisoo felt the familiar sting of wariness wrap around her. "Jin Seok, we're building something positive here," Jisoo retorted, her voice firm. "Your attempts to sow discord won't work anymore." The tension crackled in the air, but to Jisoo's surprise, several family members nodded in agreement, uniting against the lingering toxicity they had grown tired of. However, Jin Seok wasn't done. He had been lying in wait, plotting to exploit every vulnerability they had. That night, he covertly started spreading rumors that Jisoo was unqualified, claiming her influence was detrimental for the Han family legacy. With Jisoo now at the center of malicious gossip, their commitment barely took root before it faced a barrage of attacks. Jisoo felt besieged and vulnerable. The rumors reached a crescendo, igniting discussions that echoed disdain and doubt in hushed tones and raised voices alike. Each hurtful comment rattled Jisoo's confidence. Whispers circulated about her legitimacy in the family, questioning both her position and ability to lead alongside Seung-jo. One evening, Jisoo broke down, confronting Seung-jo with tears brimming in her eyes. "What if they're right? Maybe I don't belong here. I'm terrified of what this means for us, for our child." Cupping her face gently, Seung-jo felt his own heart ache for her torment. "You are not defined by their doubts. We'll face this together, as a family. Just remember, love is our greatest strength." Her tears began to dry as she looked into his eyes, and somewhere deep beneath her anxieties, a spark of determination ignited. With renewed commitment, she suggested they hold an open family forum to address the concerns directly and reaffirm their roles together. The day of the meeting arrived, tension hanging thick in the air as family members filed in, a whirlwind of emotions flashing through their expressions. Jisoo and Seung-jo took their places at the head of the table, a united front determined to reclaim their narrative against the whisperings of self-doubt and negativity. "I want to address the rumors," Jisoo began, her voice steady, cutting through the murmurs like a beacon of clarity in the fog. "We're all here to build a future for the Han family, and that begins with trust. Trust in each other and in the decisions we make together." Seung-jo added, "I refuse to let disparagement and deceit define our journey. Jisoo contributes more to this family than any of you realize. Together, we will confront any challenges thrown our way." The palpable strength in their united front began to thaw the icy atmosphere, slowly earning nods of acknowledgement from their family members. Though Jin Seok made one last desperate attempt to inject doubt, the conversation that followed swayed in favor of Jisoo and Seung-jo. One by one, family members began to voice their support, voicing confidence in the couple's ability to lead. This unexpected twist galvanized the couple's commitment to one another and reaffirmed their capability to shape a brighter future. As the meeting concluded, Jisoo felt a renewed sense of belonging settle comfortably in her heart. The weight of outside doubts had lessened, freeing her spirit to embrace the challenges ahead. Together, she and Seung-jo had forged their identities and their family, unstoppable and fortified by love. In the weeks following that pivotal moment, as Jisoo prepared for the arrival of their child, the Han family began to heal together. Seung-jo's focus sharpened, his commitment aligning with Jisoo's vision for a nurturing environment, blending compassion, respect, and understanding into their leadership. As they gathered in the nursery, cradling tiny clothes and dreaming of the life they would build, Seung-jo looked at Jisoo and felt hope blooming deep within. "We'll show our child the strength of love, no matter the challenges or the shadows that lurk in the past." Jisoo smiled, resolve shining in her eyes. "Together, we will redefine what it means to be a family." With love and unity as their foundation, Jisoo and Seung-jo stepped forward into their future, embracing the journey ahead, rich with determination and trailer of warmth, ready to nurture not only their child, but also the legacy of the Han family, now rebuilt on the pillars of love. What would you do if fate suddenly threw you into the world of the elite? Do you think their love will overcome all obstacles? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more stories like this.